Hello, Katie and MyNaturalHappiness.com, creator of the Seeds of Change program to help you go from hamster to happiness, founder of Reading School of Reiki. Hope you're well. I hope you're having the most amazing week. I am continuing on our conversation from last week, where I asked some pretty deep questions after what's been going on in my world, and perhaps got you thinking in ways that you haven't wanted to think for a while. And if not, that's okay. That's cool. I'm continuing on the conversation. And I'm drawn to do so because I think sometimes we can have reminders that perhaps we can shift things, and we can have reminders that we can change things along the way should we want to. I know, for example, I'm very blessed that and sometimes people look and go, oh, you've got the perfect life, if you like, and nobody has the perfect life. And I'm very blessed. Of course, there are ups and downs, and of course, I've had difficult times as well as incredibly happy times. And I am very blessed by the life that I have created, and I have created it. I have made mindful decisions and taken brave decisions along the way, where some people have sat and thought she is absolutely barking mad, or I wouldn't be brave enough to do that, etc., etc. And I have done it. And so has it always worked out? No. Has there been ups and downs? Yes. And I have created it. I'm sharing this because if I can create it, you can too. If I can make the changes in my life to go from corporate stress, exhaustion, tiredness, working, I don't know how many hours a week, driving over 100 miles a day, and then having meetings on top of it with clients, being out on the road the entire time, literally leaving the house before 7 and getting back in the corporate days after 7, 8 o'clock at night, utterly exhausted, and going to bed beyond tired, thinking about the next day, too tired to cook dinner, so ended up with crap takeaways, in all honesty, just utter exhaustion and working stupid hours to pay for a house that I only ever used as a bedsit. At that time, I was just literally in and out, in and out, in and out. If I can make these changes in my life, you can too. That much I'm sure about. And sometimes it's about being brave. And sometimes when it comes to my clients, it's about making changes to their life in the corporate environment and taking a stand from themselves and saying, actually, I'm not going to do that extra meeting. I'm not going to do that. And you are expecting too much of me. And actually, it's about staying in the corporate environment and changing their attitude towards their corporate environment and their job, and to create healthy boundaries around their workplace. And I've got several clients that have come through and are actually, well, after they've done the work, they've realized they want to stay in the corporate environment and they want to enjoy what they're doing, and they've changed although this in many cases stayed in the same job, they've changed their whole outlook, changed the way they work, and changed the boundaries that they set, and they're no longer working those silly hours because they're working smarter, not harder, if that makes sense. And sometimes in other cases it's about leaving that job and going to another job. It depends on the environment. Most companies these days are more open if you stand up and say, actually, this is not healthy, this is not okay, you're expecting too much from me. Actually, this is the hours I'm going to work, this is what I'm going to do. If you're doing it in a loving, nurturing way with self-care and boundaries, usually it falls on good ears and you can shift things. Not always, though. It depends on company to company. So some of my clients go through and completely change the way that they work within the same job, and others move jobs, and others decide to do something completely different. And know that I've seen clients over and over and over and over again that have changed their entire outlook to work, whether it be in the same job, different job, or completely different industry. They've changed their entire outlook and they are happier from within as a result of doing it. I have helped countless people get there. So if you are stressed and tired and exhausted and fed up, please contact me. Please contact me. One of the deciding factors for me in changing the way that I worked, which I'm going to share with you, and it was actually a doctor that said this to me funnily enough, after my granddad passed, we talked about last week and my nan passing, and how different it was to when my granddad was passed all those years ago and I was still in the corporate environment. And I really, really do walk my talk. I really honestly do. I have been that stressed out, tired, and exhausted and fed up person. I have been that person. And the doctor, when I saw him, was so magical and so incredible, signed me off straight away and gave me the space to just get me back. And as a result of that, I changed everything. So believe me, I am walking my talk on this one. I've been there. And I remember one of the deciding factor for me when I spoke to the doctor, and he was like, well, tell me about your life, where you're at, tell me about your job. And when I described my job to him, he said, right, okay, I get that, the money you're single, and at the time I was single, house to pay, mortgage to pay, all these extra things. I get that it's important that you put a roof over your head. And when you talk to me, and I remember the doctor saying this, when he said to me, when you talk to me about how much you put in, work out your hourly rate with all the extra hours, not the hours that you're contracted to do. When you get your salary, work out your hourly rate based on all the overtime, all the extras, all the 5-minute picking up a message from client at this time of night, all the conference calls, all the traveling time. Put it all together, and when you get your next paycheck, work out your hourly rate, and you'll be surprised by how low it is. And he was right, because when I worked out my hourly rate, even though I thought I was on a great salary, which I was, yeah, make no bones about it, I was, in a very good corporate role, which is why I understand when people come to me when they're stressed and tired and exhausted, because I've been there. And he was right. When I worked out the hourly rate, I could have got more money at Asda and doing overtime, even though I had built this picture up around me about how important it was for me to stay in this role because of all the trappings that modern life puts on with us. So the continuation from last week is to say, if you put everything together, if you are feeling tired, exhausted, stressed, and fed up, and if you're already through the Seeds of Change program, you're already doing well, and you're already shifting things, or if you're needing a loving reminder, then that's all good. And if I'm speaking to you now, work out your hourly rate of that really important job, and then make a decision on whether it's worth it. Because that was a massive shift for me. And I'm just passing that nugget that the doctor said to me all those years ago. And I was very grateful to that, because I brought in all the mindfulness and the manifestation work and all the tools and techniques that I share with others through the Seeds of Change program. I brought all of that in together. I looked at a long-term plan, and I shifted my entire outlook to the corporate world before I then I stayed in the corporate world for a good few years after that particular time, but with a completely different mindset, and it really helped. It really helped me get through that. And whilst I was going through that, I always knew I wanted to go self-employed, so I could put a plan in place. So I had the self-employed life already sort of, netted into it, so that it was an easier transition for me, because I knew this was my calling. I knew this was my soul's desire to do it this way, and I'm very grateful I followed my soul's desire. And the reason I'm sharing that with you is, if I can do this, you can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. If I can do it, you can do it. So I hope I have inspired somewhat today, giving you a massive hug of love. If you would like help on going from HampSword to happiness, shout. Drop me an email, kate@mynaturalhappiness.com, and we'll have a conversation with so much love. kate@mynaturalhappiness.com, creator of the Seeds of Change program to help you go from hamster wheel to happiness, founder of Reading School of Reiki. have the most amazing week. Lots of love. Take care.